I
All right.
understand that you have an issue with the watering intake or something. Tell me what's going on, Mayor.
Okay. So first of all, make sure that you know that the board and myself are working endlessly to get this resolved. We've involved the EPA, we've involved the state engineer, we've involved Homeland Security. We have called the Attorney General's office, and we've also called FEMA. Our water system is compromised right now, greatly compromised. Our fence that the EPA made us put up, we had to put up to keep our water intake safe so that nothing would get into it, meaning somebody that wants to throw chemicals in it or any other kind of poison that could go through to our system. That's why the fence was put up, has been taken down. We have been locked out of our own intake water system by the Tularosa Ditch Corporation. We were sent a letter, October, I do believe it's like 19th, maybe the 9th. I'm not sure of the date. I'd have to look at it and see, and I don't have it in front of me right now. And the letter stated that they needed the fence taken down, which we did not do because that's a violation of EPA. They were going to do work up there. On their side of that, they were replacing some intake valves of theirs and flooding gates. They were replacing gates mostly is what it was, which is fine. We had a lock on our gate. They have their side, we have our side. We had a lock on our side because that's what we have to do according to EPA. I was out of town, have been out of town for the last 2 weeks, and when I got into town and read the letter, it said they wanted us to remove the fence and they wanted to remove the locks, and they're going to put their own locks on, and we have to call the Maradoma for our water plant operator to get in to our own intake. I tried to set a meeting up with them this last Thursday with the Ditch Corporation. Thought the meeting was set. It was me and another trustee because they will not meet publicly. I would have liked to have meet in an open meeting forum, but they won't. There's reasons for that. They have their own reasons, not mine. So I agreed to meet with a representative from them and myself and my Mayor Pro Tem, Patrick. They never showed to the meeting. Instead, they took that time to go cut our locks off and put their own locks on. So as of right now, my plant operator that has to check our intake and clean our intake and make sure our intake is good for the village of Tularosa is locked out, cannot get into our own intake valve. They shut the water off for a couple of days. We did make sure we filled our tanks. They had the water off while they were doing the work, which I have no problems with them doing that. I told them that. You guys can go in there, do all your work you want, come back out. Everything's fine and dandy, but you can't take our fence that we have to have around our intake, and you cannot cut our locks. They did. And they've told us, and there's a big lock sign out there, said, this belongs to the Ditch Corporation. This is private property. You will be prosecuted if you go across this. And, I don't want our plant operator having any of that. So as of right now, we are locked out of our own water system. Our EPA-approved fence has been taken down. So our intake valve is at risk.
And again, just to clarify, this has been done by the Tularosa Community Ditch Corporation. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, it is. It has been. Yes. They have told us that the land belongs to them and they can do what they want and they can lock us out. Although we have an easement agreement, which has been in place probably 1970s. Tularosa has first water rights because we have to feed a municipality. We have 3,100 people here that depend on this water source here. While they were doing this, our fire protection was compromised because if we had a big fire, we had to use a lot of water out of those tanks. This period was compromised. They do have the water back on. We don't even know how much is going into our intake because we don't know if they did any work on our side to prevent the flow. We don't know anything right now. But I can tell you right now, according to the EPA, we are in violation, not due to our part, not due to anything of our fault, but we are in violation of the EPA law says what we have to have a fence that protects our intake valve. And believe me, I'm working on this diligently, so is my trustees, every one of them. We're all finding a way that we can stop this and get this corrected.
Mayor, with over 3,000 people in the village of Tularosa, this could be, well, it better than I do, but this could be devastating. So we don't know if people have enough water right now to do their normal everyday chores, take showers, water their grass. We don't know if their water's going to run out in a couple of days or this afternoon.
I think the water flows back onto our intake. I just don't know how much we're getting at this point because our water plant operator is locked out. He can't tell when they were doing their work down there if there was any damage to our side or if they altered our side or if anything. I'm not saying that they did. I'm just saying the water is back on. He did say that tanks are being refilled as we speak. Our biggest concern is why would you lock our plant operator out? That's our side. They're on the other side. What's the purpose of locking our plant operator out? What is the purpose of taking down our fence? And we have pictures of that. We have pictures of the fence that they took down. They didn't tell us they were going to put it back up. They had no intentions of putting it back up. According to their letter, there's no intentions of putting that fence back up. They took it down. We didn't take it down. We knew better. We knew that the EPA would say, no, you're not going to take it down. This is a protection. You've got to understand our water system somebody could do something to it if they wanted to at this point. I have no idea what their motivation is. I don't know. I have no idea. Most of these people are a part of the village of Tularosa, but I don't know their motivation for it.
What should citizens do at this moment to
be concerned? Be concerned. We're going to have a meeting. We're going to try and have a meeting this week with the general public. We would like all the general public all the people that it affects to go to this meeting and listen to what we've got to say. We'll present them with the people. Maybe by then we'll have answers from the EPA, from the attorney generals. Maybe we'll have those answers for them and we can actually tell them in the meeting this is fixed. If it's not fixed, they need to voice their concerns with the Ditch Water Corporation. They need to call their attorney general. They need to call the EPA. They need to do everything that we're doing because believe me, there is strength and power. When you start getting more than one, a board involved and you get the whole village involved, when you get that going, that's when people start hearing you.
What's the old saying? The squeaky wheel gets the grease.
That's right. And the more you squeak, the more they hear you. Besides that, what did I promise the people of Tularosa? Transparency. So if I'm going to keep this big secret against them, what would I keep? I'm not keeping it. That's why I want it out in a public meeting. I'm not keeping anything from my villagers. I want them to know. How else do I do it? Public meeting, correct?
I would agree with that. Should the people of Tularosa conserve their water until further notice?
We did that over the weekend. We asked them to over the weekend to conserve it. We're going to check the tanks tomorrow. He'll be checking the tanks. He has access to the tanks, though they were offline because they didn't have the water flow in them that they needed, but they're back online now. So in the morning, I'm going to be calling the water plant operator. And right now, if everything is good and the flow is back, then no, we don't need to conserve water. The biggest concern is it's compromised. And we are locked out. We are physically locked out of our intake valve. So as an intake valve, he's got to go in there and clean it out. The water plant operator has to go in there and clean it out. He goes once or twice a week and removes the leaves, the sticks out and everything else so the water flow goes in good. Now he can't even get to our intake valve himself.
Will you be putting any information on the village Facebook page after you learn anything?
We will pass it on as we learn. I really am not in charge of the village Facebook page, but I can recommend it. But you're going to hear the meeting. We're planning, right now we're looking at possibly the meeting being Thursday night because we have to give the 3-day notice for our meeting, and we're possibly going to do it Thursday night. That's going to be live, you know that. I'm hoping the public comes out. I'm hoping the public comes to this and listens to what we're trying to do. We're doing everything in our power. Believe me, my trustees and myself have been working on this since it happened. I spent all day Friday on the phone with all these people, and it's such a concern for me. I don't think I rested at all over it because you're compromising our water system. It's crazy. Who would have thought this could happen, that anybody has the power to do that? So,
well, we don't really know if they do have the power or authority to do it, but it has been done.
Well, they think they do.
Mayor Debbie Cooksey of Tularosa with a lot on her plate, getting ready for a meeting possibly on Thursday. Before I let you go, Mayor, is there anything else you want to say?
No, sir, I do not. Just I want the villagers to know that we as a board and me as a mayor have taken this seriously, and we are working on this, and we're giving 110%. I have a wonderful board, and they're working right alongside with me to fix this problem.